Hey there, here's a recording, or not recording, recap of my trading today on the 2nd of September 2025. It's been about 2 months since I took a trade. And here we go. So on this day, basically, we'd seen the market had gone up and come down. This is a 30-minute chart. And then I didn't touch it during the first 30 minutes. There was news coming out. Didn't want to touch it. But at the close of the first 30-minute candle, I noticed a massive bullish engulfing, which is a good setup for a reversal. So right up in this area, I tried to go long a couple of times after the first 30 minutes, so after 10 a.m. Got stopped out twice. Show that to you on the 1-minute chart. Right about in this area, 2 longs, 2 stop outs. And that was that early on in the day. Then I started looking at a few different ways of doing things. And I'll show you now what that was. Here it is. So I've got this 30-minute line chart, and I started picking levels off of this. This is something I've been curious about for a while. I read it in a book as well, and I started looking at it today. So what I found is just looking to the left. The price action was all in this area today. Just looking to the left, you have this dramatic support turned resistance. So I put a line right there. Pretty obvious stuff. Same thing here. Look at this. It was massive drop from right there, which previously was support. So I put a line right there. No big deal, right? Going further down, you have this one here, which was interesting because it was a consolidation that then broke out. Also, looking to the left, it was also almost perfect resistance. I believe I saw something earlier. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Breakout and bounce right off support. So this is very much an important point of inflection on the chart. And then over here, very obvious, firm pinpoint resistance. And you go a little more recent, you can see twice it bounced off of that, right? So that's also a nice round number, 635. So I put these green lines on the chart after the first hour or so and started looking at the 1-minute chart. So the 1-minute chart, here it is. And what I have these green lines, and my whole thinking is let's find a 1-minute setup around about these green lines. So it dropped, and you can see here, this is interesting, where it dropped right through what was previous obvious support. I mean, firm support, just bounce. So good entry would have been here. Breakout, retest, go short. That could have been one. I didn't get that one. Another one happened here. This was a little difficult. If you're trying to catch a breakout, it was probably stopped out, and maybe 2 stop outs probably. And then you can catch that retest, and then you're in it. But what I looked at was this particular 1-minute candle reversal. Again, a pinpoint reversal. That's why I put that orange line there. And I figured I'll catch a short through there. So it went short, and then it came and retested, and that's when I caught my first short straight down to the obvious level down there, which was big round number, 635. And those were 635 puts, I believe. Here. Yep, there it is, 635 puts. That's the entry at about 60 cents, the exit about $1.10. Tried to add for a continued move, but didn't go, and took the rest off. So that's catching the, that was the first trade I caught. It was about in this area, going into that level. That worked nicely. And now, going back into the 1-minute chart, that was an obvious level that you saw I found on a 30-minute. It was making higher lows. And then what I was observing was, again, this pinpoint kind of reversal. It's not exactly a reversal, but a real point of inflection where it goes and just comes right, just rejects right away. Kind of like it did over here, kind of like it did over here. Now here, so it went right through it. When it rejected. And only after this pinpoint, I put this orange line here. And what I noticed is with the higher lows, it went up here and it made a 3-bar play on a 1-minute chart. Very interesting, right? Very bullish, tiny little consolidation candle, and then 3-bar play, the new 1-minute high is the entry. And so that's when I got in on a long with the stop right about somewhere there, right below it. And I believe this was 636 call options. Let's have a look. It's been a few hours already since I did all this. 630, that was probably 637. So again, out of the money. There it is. That's the long, around 12.15 or so, right about in this area. Getting in and adding in and surviving that little pullback. Again, out of the money, you can see how volatile these things are. And then getting into this move as it got into my strike price, 637, which also you can see I had that orange line there earlier. So I started taking partials, took them, I don't know, probably 70 or 80% of my position off there, and added some more for the continued move as it started to hold above the orange line. I added in, but it didn't want to go, so I took the stop out right there. So another good trade. So we had two. One was a short, and then caught part of this reversal. And then looking at this reversal, let's get into this. So I stopped out as it dropped below that orange line. And then what I noticed is it came down and it bounced right off again. You have another pinpoint right here. Pretty obvious one, right? I noticed it after the fact. So anyways, it started to go long and it reclaimed this area right here, just under 637. You can see that right here, and in a nice bullish trend. So I'm thinking, all right, let's get into this one. The activity is all bullish. The price action is always the king. It's always the first thing, the most important thing. That's the priority. And to me, it's all bullish. It went down and it's reversing. So I caught part of the reversal. I figured it could still go. So I got in here again, this time taking the 638 contracts, 638 call options. And that is right about there. You can see the entry, which is in this zone right here with a tight stop right below it and looking to go up to through 638 into this level. And so it started to pop very aggressively as it got through 638. And you can see the option contract. This is 0DTE out of the money. And this stuff is, very volatile. So it started to really jump. And that's when I started slowly hitting that partial button. I don't normally like to do it, but because it got so jumpy, I wanted to de-risk it quickly. So de-risking it up there, then adding more for the continued move up. And at this point, I'm just scalping. Every time it pulls back, I'm identifying a bit of a tiny level of support down here, and adding more in. And so adding, and then every time you get a pop, you're taking some off. Try to add more and didn't want to go more, and that was it. So stopped as it dropped over there. And that was that. So eventually a very good day up into the six figures after being down a little bit early on in the day. No big deal. And hey, it just feels good to be back in the game. It's been a couple of months, and let's see what happens next. Talk to you all soon.